Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Get Your Popcorn. My name's Holly Holiday, and I'm your host. Today, we have a guest for the episode to help go through the movie Seven. So, Drake, can you introduce yourself and tell people where you can find your content and all your stuff?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Drake. I have a podcast called the First Watch Podcast, but some people do know me as Average Film Dude over on Twitter. Um, I had Holly on my podcast yesterday. We recorded yesterday. It's going to be some time before it comes out, but had her on yesterday and we talked Doctor Strangelove, which was a fantastic movie. But yeah, I mostly just do a podcast called the First Watch Podcast for like trying to hit up people to see like what movies they haven't seen. They've been meaning to check off their watch list for a long time and kind of find a way to force people to watch the movies that they've been putting off for a long time.
Yeah.
Which has ultimately also helped me out in that regard as well, because most of the movies that we have done so far, I haven't really seen either. And funnily enough, Seven was actually the first episode of my podcast. So it was kind of funny that I came on and did this episode.
Yeah, I would as soon as it was like you sent it on your like list of suggestions of like different ones because you have like seven. Like I love that movie. I've seen it a bunch, but it had been a while, so it was good.
Yeah.
So when did you first kind of fall in love with movies and like what do you remember like being like your genesis of that?
Well, I watched movies a lot as a kid. Like it was like one of my main forms of entertainment. We also had a one of those DVD players and VHS players in our vans as kids. So anytime we went anywhere, it didn't matter how long if we were even going to school or just going down the road, we always had a movie playing. So I always had some form of entertainment going on, whether it be movies or TV or anything like that for a very long time since I was a kid. But my love of like the actual process of the entire thing and like what they actually do to like your feelings completely changed as of like 2 years ago. And that's when I just became completely enamored with like all of the different themes of different movies and stuff and really started to get out of my comfort zone compared to what I was watching before because I would really stick to certain types of movies for a very long time, the ones that would typically make me feel good. But it was recently that I decided to kind of branch out a little bit and go for the things that really kind of mess me up inside.
Was there a movie in particular that like started that like sort of kicked you into this like different level of appreciating film?
Yeah, I want to say, I mean, technically, the first movie that really got a lot of emotion out of me, and this is going to sound really dumb considering how, like, not great as far as like the technical aspects of the movie is, but the movie Wonder, because it was the first movie that I actually saw like decent representation of what it was like to be disabled as a young child, because you don't really get that in movies. And that was the first time that I had seen that. And I kid you not, I was hyperventilating in the movie theater. And this was like maybe 5, 6 years ago. I think it was pre-COVID, just like right before COVID or a little bit after. So I was like well over 20 and I was still like hyperventilating because I was like, "Oh my god, I'm actually
Wow.
seeing something I can relate to." And yeah, that's kind of what got me to be like, "Oh, I understand what people were talking about when they said, there should be more representation in film," because I kept like brushing it off like, "Fine, you'll be all right." And then I saw it and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's what they mean. Gotcha." And yeah, it kind of caused me to branch out a little more from there. But yeah, like all that jazz really kicked it off.
So good.
Really
So
kicked it off. I made the terrible mistake of watching that 2 weeks after my dad died. And
oh
I
no.
was yeah, it was a bad idea. Good
No.
idea, but also bad idea. Like I was kind of in this spot in my head where I've been depressed for a very long time. I was drinking for like 10 years. It was really bad. Easily classified as an alcoholic. It was horrible. And that's very much what the movie deals with. Is like this guy just being like, fuck it, I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want. And then, dying as a result of him just being so stubborn and so caught in his ways
Mhm.
and not being able to see the light. And I was just like, and I just started like freaking out. And like for 3 days, I kid you not, I was just like a shell of a human being because I was like, wait, that's what everyone's been talking about. and then I was like and then it just completely flipped everything, and I just started looking at movies completely different from that point on.
Those are such, like, different movies to, like,
Yeah,
have. I mean, I gave you E.T. and Capote for, like, very
yeah,
similar question yesterday, so, like, I
yeah,
feel like we're on the, like, 2, like, different spectrums of stuff. Also, like, a childhood one where I was like, "Oh, like, I had this Elliot, I like this, like, lonely child," like
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, those are I haven't seen Wonder, but I will add it to the list. I was just Googling it as you were chatting about it.
It's
It's
decent.
3 out of 4 by Roger Ebert, so that's pretty good.
Hey, not bad, not bad.
He's my guy, and we absolutely do need more, you know, representation in film. I know, like it was funny, like, I had seen, like, Rain Man and stuff when I was, like, younger, and then I had my daughter, and my daughter has autism, and then I watched it the other day or not the other day, 6 months ago. You know how that is, and I was just like, just sobbing because I was like, "Oh my god, like, that's my girl," like, so much of it, and it was like yeah, and there needs to be more of that because it's just, like, it needs to be, like, within the every story needs to be told, not just the, like, a white guy does stuff, able-bodied white man does not have any introspection, goes through the world.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of it is, and sadly, like, a lot of disability movies, um, they're very, like I've talked to a couple people about this, I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but they're, like, very, like, inspiration porn. Like, there's, like, a certain track that they all go down. Like, it's very formulaic when it comes to that. That it is the same with, biopics too, like, you're gonna have the same kind of formulaic outline of what this movie is going to be, regardless of who they're talking about. Like, that's kinda sad because there needs to be a lot of, different disability movies that have, like, a different weight to them than what most of them now do now.
Yeah,
Because then it's not gonna really mean anything. It's like, "Oh, okay, it makes me feel good," but it's like, "No, no, you don't understand the realities of that stuff." Like, once you start showing the realities of that stuff, that's when it's gonna change a little bit.
yeah, absolutely. It needs to be, like, much more well-rounded, and I don't know, this is so stupid because it's like the Barbie movie quote or whatever, where she's talking about, like, why does Barbie always have to be, like, president or whatever? Like, does it make like, can't we just have, like, regular Barbie? Like,
Yeah.
just regular Barbie in her jeans and, like, a nice top.
Yep.
So what is it for you that makes a movie good to you? Like, what is it that, like, grabs you in a film?
It very much fluctuates on the film and the type of film that I'm going in to go watch. Like, I don't try not to set expectations on whatever movie I'm watching because I don't want to, like, put myself down after I watch it and be like, "Oh, well, that sucked." Like, I just wanna go in as blind as possible. Like, I do have little nitpicky things when it comes to, like, sports movies and stuff, because I want it to feel as authentic as possible. But there's nothing that necessarily jumps out that I can say that, "Oh, yeah, this makes it a good film." It's just one of those things that, like, once I watch a film, depending on the way it makes me feel, whether it be, like, I have to think about it for a while, like, for example, The Drama, right? That came out earlier this year. It was one of those movies that I sat there and just thought about all the different themes in the movie for, like, a couple days. Or it was like, "Ooh, what would I do in that situation?" Like, to me, that's what makes a good movie.
Mhm.
If I'm not really thinking about the movie or don't have, like, this visceral feeling or, like, any sort of feeling while I'm watching the movie, then I don't necessarily consider it good. I'll consider it meh, but I don't really consider it, like, good. It has
Mhm.
to, like, get something from me for me to consider it good. So it all depends on the movie. I guess just a feeling.
Yeah,
Long-winded say way of saying a feeling.
like an X factor that is, like, intangible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that yeah, I have that too because like, I've had a lot of guests that are, like, writers on this show, so the most frequent answer I always get is the writing, and I'm like, "Fuck," like, I'm not I'm like, I can tell when a script is bad, but, like, for me, it's just, like, that isn't as much of a factor. I'm like, I'll know when I get there if it's good.
I was saying bad writing could definitely change that, but.
Yeah, but sometimes they're like people will be like, "Oh, this is like problem with the script." I'm like, "Nah, it's fine to me."
Yeah, it still worked.
Yeah. There's been so much I don't know if you watched The Pit at all, but there's been so much of that with season 2, and I'm like, "I like it."
I mean, I like it, but I was just like, I wanted a little bit more, and I wanted to. I whenever it ended, I was just kind of like, I was like, okay. I didn't feel like this guttural feeling like I did the first time, where I was like finally we got some reprieve. It was more like, okay, all right,
Yeah. I think yeah, and, like, it's so funny because like, I get, like, from, like, a standpoint of, like, a television show why that, like, isn't as good, but just, like, the monotonous trauma is, like, as because I'm a nurse, so I'm like, "No, that's just life." Like, this is
yeah,
I'm like, "This might be not like there might not be a narrative arc in a way that people find satisfying, but, like, trust me, when you're in it, there's no satis there's no satisfaction. It's just endless trauma and tears, and then you go home." So I was like, "Oh, I like it." Plus, I have a bit of a crush on Robbie, so, like, that's also, like, maybe something I
that's
need to
fair.
personally I have to reflect on that as a person where I'm like, "Why this man that cries every episode, like, why do I like him?"
He feels his emotions, man. He doesn't let it hold him down,
Yeah, I
but
just like
also he
and
does a little bit.
he's also, like, super smart, so that might be what it is. I don't know. I need therapy and probably is what what I need. I'll just watch movies instead.
There you go.
So this, I make everybody go through this questionnaire, which is from the Inside the Act Studio. I don't know if you watched that when it was on, but so this is a questionnaire that was started by Bernard Pivot, and then obviously James Lipton, then co-opted it for his actor studio program. So Drake, what's your favorite word?
I forgot. Do you censor on here?
Like for swearing?
Okay. Well, then I guess I can't say that's my favorite.
No, I always swear on here. I don't censor anything, and I don't believe it on TikTok either. I'm like, fuck you guys. Like, I'm
No,
gonna
yeah,
swear. I'm not using stupid words.
no. Fuck is my favorite word because there are so many different ways that you could use a word. Your inflection alone changes the meaning of the word fuck every single time. So,
Hmm.
like, just an excited fuck could be like, like fuck. Like, it just the way you say it, it has so much versatility. You can use it
Absolutely.
in so many different ways, which is why I love it. As far as like I'm getting ahead of you a little bit. As far as like least favorite word,
Well, that's okay. We'll jump right into it. What's your least favorite word?
I don't really have a least favorite word that I'm like I know a lot of people are like, they hate the word moist, which I get. So just to be a bandwagon, I'd probably say moist. Cuz it is a weird word.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bug me, but I kind of like get the vibe of like the
Yeah.
other person. Like, I'm pretty rebellious to like, no is my least favorite word,
Yeah.
but that's less on like I don't know, the way it sounds aspect. Moist is probably up there, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess it's just the way that people use it.
Yeah.
I guess it's like, "I'm kinda moist," and they're like, that sounds
No,
no,
no.
no, no, I don't like that." Yeah, I'm probably gonna go with moist, honestly. Yeah.
What turns you on creatively?
I mean, good writing is definitely one of those things, but I've also noticed recently, I was telling you before we started recording that I had went and seen Mother Mary today,
Hmm.
and that has some really good editing bits in it where I was like, it was, like, really clean how they did the editing. No Other Choice also has a lot of really clean editing where I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's sick." So stuff like that, just, like, really good writing and really good ways to kind of do, like, camera tricks on
Hmm.
screen. I'm like, "Oh, hell yeah." I really like that because I'm like, "How did you do that?" That's my first question is always, "How did that happen?" So I'd probably say those 2 things.
And what turns you off creatively?
People who have really flat acting and are not willing to, like, admit it or,
Gal
like,
Gadot?
fucking nail on the head. Go ahead. It's very funny you say that. My
Mhm.
mom and I went and saw, Snow White in the theater. She has A-list, and so we had, like, free tickets to go see stuff, and we were bored, so we're like, "Fuck it, we'll go to a 1 p.m. showing to go see, Snow White." And I kid you not, I think it was maybe 3 minutes in, we just turned to each other and we were like, "No, we're in for a long ride."
Yeah.
We immediately knew. We were like and it was just the entire time, it was just Gal Gadot's just impossible acting and impossibly bad acting, and I was just like, "I don't know if I can see it through But if I wanna be able to actually critique it, I guess I have to see it through. So I was like, "Fine, whatever, we're already here." It took us, like, 30 minutes to get here, might as well sit through it, you
Oh,
know?
yeah, here what killed me was, like, just, like, the most high school production musical theater hands where I was like, "Get put them down."
I've seen high schoolers do better.
Oh, for sure. For
That's
sure.
the bad part. She's getting paid millions of fucking dollars, and I've seen high schoolers do better on a stage. It's crazy.
What's your favorite curse word? But I feel like we already covered this.
Yeah,
Fuck.
we kinda already
We're
covered
good.
that one. Yeah, we're good.
What sound or noise do you love?
Do I love? Ooh. I guess to be a little topical for tomorrow, nice little crack of a baseball.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Jays are playing right now as we, speak, so I'm wearing
Sir
my
Braves,
jacket.
yeah. Yeah.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Fucking this I can't explain it, but okay, I probably can a little bit. You know that, like, squeaky rubber like, wet rubber sound? Like
Like,
the
on, like the bottom of a shoe or something on the
Yeah,
floor?
well,
Yeah.
kind of, but not really. Like, just, like, if you were to put on, say, sand or, flip-flops and it gets wet at the pool, and then you're able to, like, take your feet and just, like, rub on the flip-flops, and it makes that weird, like, sound. It actually, like, it drives my head crazy. Like, my niece teething on stuff, if she
No.
hits it at a right way, I'm like, "I have to leave the room." Like, I can't be in the room
I feel that.
because it just does something to my head where I'm like, "I can't do this right now."
Yeah. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I mean, I don't really have a profession right now other than, full-time student. I was in retail for a long time, so I'm glad I'm leaving that behind. I'm going into broadcasting, but other than that, maybe, like I wanted to be a detective for a while,
Mm.
so maybe that.
And what profession would you not like to do?
It's probably same answer. Probably same answer.
Retail?
Yeah.
And if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I saw this question earlier today, and I was like, "Oh, this is so funny." So when I was in middle school, I had a little bit of health backstory for me. I have one leg longer than the other. When I was in middle school, I was taking growth hormones, and I had a knee surgery on my right knee, which is my longer leg, because the hope was that during the growth hormone process and while I was growing, it would even out.
Mhm.
It didn't happen. And at that time, I was rather, we were kind of rather religious and whatever. And like I was, you know, listening to older members of my family who were like, "Oh yeah, if you just pray, if you pray, you pray, it'll happen. God will listen to you." And it didn't happen, obviously, right? And so one of the things that flipped me was that whole process, and then I just one day I looked up at the ceiling and I went, "Well, fuck you too then." And so my hope would be is that if it was real, I would come back and he would look at me and would be like, "Well, fuck you too then." And then that would just be it. That would be the only thing that he says to me.
I love it. That's great. All right, we'll jump into 7. So what specifically made you wanna cover this one or put it on your list of suggestions?
I only saw this movie for the first time a couple years ago, which is weird because I had seen the what's in the box clip like a million times. It's on social media everywhere. You can't escape it. Or at least I couldn't at that time. But that was really the only thing that I'd seen about that movie. I was like, "Fuck, I at least gotta, like, give it a shot." And I finally did, and I was like, "Oh shit, I love this. I love this movie." I don't know what it was about the movie other than the fact that I was just completely glued to it the entire time. But yeah, I loved it. I think it was mostly spacey that made me love it so much. But yeah, I don't know. I just there's something about it that like draws me in that I just can't look away. Even though it's like really creepy and gross and everything, there was just something about it that I was like, hell yeah.
Are you a I mean, this film, for anybody that doesn't know, it's directed by David Fincher. Are you like a a Fincher guy at all or just sort of
I like Fincher. I like Zodiac, like Gone Girl, Fight Club, obviously. But there are a few other, like, of the smaller ones that I haven't seen yet. I enjoyed The Killer. The Killer wasn't, like, fantastic, but I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. Uh, but yeah, like, 7 is definitely like, if I were to list all the ones that I had seen of Fincher, 7 is at the top of that damn list, without a doubt.
I do love Seven. Zodiac's my favorite of his films. But I think it's more to do with like my bias against Brad Pitt than anything else. Like I just
That's fair.
and yeah, I just the cat Mark Ruffalo and Jake Gyllenhaal and Downey are just like so good in that movie. So I'll just jump into the cast. Like I said, Brad Pitt is kind of our main guy. David Mills, he's sort of a younger detective. And they had a really hard time casting this film because everybody read the script and was like, "The fuck? Oh, this will kill my career." So it was turned down by Denzel Washington, who I think would have been great.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
think he
then
would've been.
Sylvester Stallone, and I'm so glad we did not get he would have been so bad.
We don't need that.
No. Um Morgan Freeman as William Somerset, so he's like the older detective. He's about ready to retire. This is the last case. Rejected by Gene Hackman and Al Pacino, who I think both would have been great. It would have been a lot more yelly if it was Pacino, but like other than that, I think they both would have done a great job.
Yeah. Hackman would've been cool.
Yeah, he would have been awesome. Gwyneth Paltrow plays Tracy Mills, who is Brad Pitt's wife. And it was turned down by Christina Applegate, which is like such a weird casting for that.
Yeah. No, we need Paltrow in that role. We don't need anybody else in that role, I don't think.
We have Richard Roundtree as the DA. We have Arlie Ermy as the police captain, John C. McGinley as the SWAT guy, and Kevin Spacey as John Doe. And he was not advertised in anything because they didn't want to like ruin the ending because the two were on the cover. He was not advertised. He was not listed in the posters, like nothing.
So smart. It's
And
such a smart idea.
Val Kilmer rejected that role. And also, no.
Nope. I don't look, you can say what you want about Kevin Spacey. There's a lot of shit you could say about Kevin Spacey, right? There is. But damn, was he perfect for that fucking role.
He's so good in it.
Damn. He plays such a good creep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for obvious reasons.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. He plays a piece of shit. So, I mean, it's
Kinda
great.
tracks, you know? It works.
This film is obviously very successful. Made $327 million on a $33 million budget. 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. Letterboxd is 4.4. I give it a 5. How about you?
Yeah, I did give it a 5. It's actually one of my 4 favorites. It's stayed there for quite some time on Letterboxd. Whenever I created my Letterboxd account, I had seen it not long after that, and I just immediately put it on my 4 favorites. I was like, "Yep, that's going right up there," and it hasn't really changed, mostly because I'm very indecisive about things like that, but
Mhm.
also because it is one of my favorite movies.
What are just a sidebar, what are your Letterboxd top 4?
I just logged back into my Letterboxd because I couldn't remember, and I figured you would ask me. Okay, so I've got Remember the Titans, All That Jazz, Good Will Hunting, and 7.
Excellent choices.
Very weird mashup of movies, I feel like, but I feel like they're great.
Oh, mine are all like I put them on and then they're all like tragic romances and I was like, "Oh, I don't know what this says about me or where I'm at in my life." Because I've got, yeah, Anora Nosferatu, Wuthering Heights, and Casablanca, and
Jesus.
I'm like, "Wow, I really like to be sad."
Yeah, like, are you okay? Are you good?
Unwell. So unwell. So Roger Ebert, I always do his critique, so he gave it a 3 out of 4. He says, "Good as it is, it misses greatness by not quite finding the right way to end. All of the pieces are in place, all of the characters are in position, and then I think the way it ends is too easy. Satisfying perhaps, but not worthy of what has gone before." I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I get what he's coming from, like, but I don't know. I felt like like you said, it was a satisfying ending, but I don't know. I don't necessarily see eye to eye with him on.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to to preference on that.
Yeah.
And for Academy Awards, this was only nominated for one for Best Editing, and it lost to Apollo 13, which I think is highway robbery because that opening credit scene alone should have nabbed it.
Not only that, so we didn't talk about this whenever we were talking about Doctor Strangelove, but usually I do like to talk about Oscars and stuff on my podcast, right? We talked about Oscars in length the first episode, mostly because I wanted to rant the entire time.
That's fair.
For those of you who do not know, Babe got a Best Picture nomination over a movie like Seven. The fucking movie about a pig on a farm got a Best Picture nomination over Seven. It got more nominations than the movie Seven.
Look,
What the
babe.
I look. Yes. Okay. Cool. I do too. I watched it as a kid. I thought it was great. I'm not knocking Babe. I'm knocking the fact that it got more nominations than fucking Seven. Like
I
that
want to
to
see what else is
me is
nominated.
crazy. If you look at that list, there's like so many different movies that could be taken out of those slots, and Seven could easily be slotted in. I believe it only got one nomination. Like you said, it only got one nomination. Like the fact that Brad Pitt didn't get a actor nomination. Are we serious? I mean, sure, I understand. He's a dick, right? Kevin Spacey didn't get one,
No, Kevin. If you're gonna go, yeah, Kevin Spacey or Morgan Freeman. Like that's his character is very complex.
right? What is this?
All right, 68th Academy Awards. I got to see what else was nominated for Best Picture that year.
It
Now
was
that
dumb. You look
now that
at
we're
it and
going,
it's like, what are we doing? I can't remember the list.
I'm pulling it up right now.
I gotta look.
Fuck, it's the Braveheart year. Which I
Yeah.
don't like.
You don't like
So
Braveheart?
yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah. No, I just no. Braveheart, Apollo 13, Babe, Postman, and Sense and Sensibility. Wow, this is a bad year for movies.
Right?
Dead Man Walking wasn't nominated over. That's a great movie. And Leaving Las Vegas, also better.
Yeah. It was 96, right?
95 films.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Wow, I'm
No, yeah,
I'm
it's
mad.
dumb.
You made me mad.
It's dumb.
Oh, and The Usual Suspects. Spacey won for
Yeah, he
Usual
won for
Suspects
user stuff. But you're telling me James Cromwell
for Babe.
for Babe? Look, I love okay, Ed Harris, right. That's a decent one for Apollo 13.
Pitt's still nominated just for 12 Monkeys.
Yeah. But not for 7? What are we doing?
I don't know, but we can really go off a deep end on this one.
We could on this entire list, you could easily I'm waiting for Andrew of the Revisionist Almanac to go through this year. I told him, I was like, dude, if you're gonna do any fucking year, it's that one. I'm like, go through that one. He's like, I've already got a large slate, but we'll probably get it in at some point.
That's so
Dude,
funny.
do that one. That one is so bad. It's just a wild mix of movies. And the fact that most of the people who worked on Seven, like the fact that, well, no, hold on. What was makeup a thing in this at this point? I can't remember. Hold on, I'm looking.
Yeah, the guy that they do Sloth for
Yeah.
is like that is insane. Like I was watching an interview before we did this with David Fincher, and he said that guy's call time was midnight.
Jesus.
Yeah, so his call time was midnight, and so that they could get him, so his makeup was done by 7 or 8, so they could get him on set because they had to transport him in like basically a refrigerated truck to make sure that nothing melted, and then carry him. He could not move, and then shoot for the day.
Bro, Braveheart, My Family, Mi Familia, fucking roommates. Like what are we doing? But yeah, the fact that like makeup and stuff didn't get any sort of nomination is
Crazy.
absurd.
So the breakdown of Seven. So like for the plot, like we'll probably just discuss it and jump around a little bit because it actually isn't that complicated of a film. It's two detectives, very stiff. Like we've got the older wise detective, we've got the young like hotshot. That guy's married to Gwyneth Paltrow, who thinks the sun shines out of his ass, and they're trying to catch a serial killer who is killing his victims in he's trying to tick off all the 7 deadly sins. He sets up these crime scenes pretty elaborately and then uh leaves like the word of whatever sin it is at the crime scene, which ultimately comes to a close when he provokes the younger detective into killing him, and Wrath completes his 7 sins, and he dies by cop-driven suicide, essentially.
Yeah.
And then you get the he provokes him by cutting off his wife's head and putting it in a box, and that's where you get the iconic "What's in the box?" which is now what we discussed yesterday on your podcast, what we both
Yeah.
say whenever a box is in any vicinity to either of us.
Yep. Every single time someone gets a box in the Amazon, like, in an Amazon delivery, I just kinda do it in that intonation of, like, "What's in the box?
Always. There's
What's in
a
the box?"
Christmas is a nightmare.
Yeah. I'll do it, like, once or twice, and then I'll get looks, and I'm like, "Alright, I'll stop."
I don't. I torture my family. They're like, "Oh, Jesus, here it comes." I found this, like I find the plot, like, fascinating, and, like, particularly, like, there is something about, like, the linking of the killer with, like, psychological damage and then, like, this weird, like, religious, like, fascination that, like, I don't know what it is about, like, Catholicism and, like, serial murder that some and, like, paranoid delusions that sort of, like, really fits in this, like, weird little box. So there's so I just thought it was so, like, such an interesting, like, way to frame it.
Yeah. I think this is the first time that I'd seen a movie where the motivation for something this drastic isn't necessarily tied to religion, but tied to the 7
Mhm.
deadly sins in particular. Like,
Mhm.
to get to that, particular portion of religion, it is kinda crazy that a lot of stories, and it's understandably so, that a lot of stories are connected to religion in that way, because there are people out there who do things, pretty heinous things, in the name of religion. There's been several wars based on, you know, people wanting to vouch for their own religion many, many times. So it doesn't surprise me that they took that approach, but it did surprise me that they took the approach of, like, getting the 7 deadly sins in particular. And that's when I was like, "Oh, okay, like, I'm really intrigued." Like, once I started to realize that it was based on the 7 deadly sins, I was like, "Ooh, okay, this is different. I like this."
Yeah, and, like, I mean, yeah, it was just I just thought it was, like, yeah, such a creative way to do it, and then, like, obviously, it makes the murders, like, so disturbing, especially because 'cause you're just, like these people are just walking around, like, essentially just, like, living, like, very regular lives, and this guy, they do something that makes this, like, killer flip and go, like, "You." This one guy is just, like, a lawyer going through his, like, the greed. I mean, obviously, there's, like, the, like, stereotype about lawyers, but this guy is just, like, working and then
Yeah.
dies by this, like yeah, he's forced to cut his own flesh off, which is just like
Yeah, and, like, I think it was, like, little sheets of it, and
mhm,
I don't know where that comes from, but okay. I don't remember why he chose this particular lawyer for greed. But it's like you could pick any lawyer for greed at that
mhm,
point and do it that way. Hell, you could do that for almost any, like, CEO of a company. He probably should have
mhm.
done it for them, honestly. Those were probably harder to get to. But yeah, like, the greed one was really interesting. At least the way that the crime scene was laid out was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and we touched on it a little bit, but the 3rd crime scene is sloth, and this guy is, like, taken time, like, this guy's been tortured for, like, over a year, where they think they're looking at a crime scene and this guy, like, coughs and is, like, still alive, and
Baffles me the way that they did that. Baffles me the way that they did that, and the fact that it did not get any sort of recognition at all. Like, first of all, I didn't expect him to jump out, so I was like, "Oh, shit," like, I got a jump scare. I didn't want a jump scare in this movie, but I guess I got one. And yeah, it was so well done that I was like, "Damn, how'd they do that?" That was all I thought, like, whenever I watched it for the first time, that's literally all I was thinking. I was like it took me off track for a second because I was like, how the hell did they do that?" But,
yeah. Yeah, yeah, that one was disturbing. The 4th crime, Lust, is the one that I think, like that's the one, like, you hear about in middle school, and they're like, "Oh, you gotta watch this movie." There's, like, a bladed dildo or whatever, and you're like, "And this is in a movie?" Like
Yeah.
like like, that, like, you could own on DVD and not just, like, find in the dark corners of the internet? Like,
Yeah.
you're like, "What do you want me to" it just sounds like a snuff film, and you're like, "Yeah, like, Morgan Freeman's in this movie? This is crazy." Like,
I'm
I assume
glad they
that's
didn't show it.
where, like, Gene Hackman got to in the script and was like, "I'm out."
I'm
Like,
like, "I'm
no.
good. Like, I don't need this. I've had enough. I'm good. I got enough
Yeah, I'm too
money."
old for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was brutal. Like, I think for me, that was, like, the one that I found, like, the most, I've whatever this woman's already going through, she has to now, like, this is how she had to die, like, this is so horrible.
That's such a wild thing to even concoct in your mind. Like, I know all of them are, but, like, that one is like, "Okay, I'm going to make this thing, and then I'm gonna attach it to somebody, hold a gun to their head, and then watch them fuck." Like, that's a whole 'nother level of just, like, "What's going on here?" And the fact that
Yeah.
seemed, like, pretty recent, so, like, I don't know how they didn't see someone running out of the sex club in the madness with it all going on, how they didn't hear it. Like, I've got so many questions, but I'm just like, "You know what? I'll just let it ride."
Movie magic sometimes
Yeah,
is how you
I'm
can
just gonna
answer
let
some
it
of these
ride.
questions. Movie magic.
But yeah, that one was definitely just, like, the most disturbing when you think about, or one of the most disturbing ones when you think about, like, what he made someone do
Mhm.
just to carry out his sick, twisted little fantasies.
Sorry, I'm just, like,
Yeah, you're good.
scrolling down my list of the different murders, which is always great. He then commits his 5th crime, which is pride. He disfigures a woman and then says, "Do you want to live this way disfigured or die?" And she chooses to die. I don't know what he was gonna do if she just was like, "No, I'll be okay, like, I'll just live disfigured."
Yeah, like, what was his backup plan? To shoot her in the head? Like,
Yeah. I'm like, then it's
he
just a murder that doesn't fit your
yeah, it doesn't so maybe he does shoot her in the head and find somebody else to do it? I don't know. I kinda wanna know that alternative universe
yeah.
where, like, she doesn't, and then he has
And
to
you're like,
come up
"Oh."
with a plan B, and he's like, "Fuck, like, what do I do? I've
They're like,
only
"Well,
got
she'll
this
never
much time."
they'll never know. How would they know?
Yeah.
And then there's sort of a twist where John Doe turns himself in, but the final 2 are unfinished. He's only done the 5, and they're trying to figure out what the fuck he means by only doing the 5.
I mean, yeah, that's too it was too easy for him to just turn himself in like that. They said that from the get-go. They're like, "Him turning himself in? That's crazy. That's not right."
Mhm.
Like, why would he do that? It makes no sense. So, obviously, it was like, "Oh, yeah, this is all a ploy. Like, let's see what happens next." I did like the way it goes, though. Like, I like the way it pans out.
Yeah, and, like, the last 2 murders are sort of happening at the same time we discussed before with David Mills shooting him, and he's wrath, but he confesses his own sins, that he is envious of Mills' life, so he is technically, the sin of envy, so it's a double whammy on that one. But, yeah, it's just so interesting, and, like, this film, like, if you haven't seen it, like, you are, like, literally I mean, it's the same with, like, when you watch Zodiac too, like, you're just like it doesn't matter, like, I've seen this film probably 10 times, and, like, I'm still watching it, just, like, gripped.
Yeah. I I'm curious, whenever you watched it for the first time, whenever they are shaving in the precinct bathroom together, Mills and Somerset, whenever they had that conversation, did it click with you that, um, that what's her name was gone?
Paltrow?
Yeah. Did it click with you at
No.
that point where it was like, "Oh, okay, she's probably dead."
No, I mean, I'm trying to think back to the first time because I think it probably, like, was, like, 14 or 15, slightly too early, shouldn't have watched this, but, like,
Jeez,
yeah,
alright.
like, 14, I'm like, it's hard to remember because that was, like, 17
No
years ago.
wonder you need therapy.
I know, I know. Yeah, between that and then watching Jaws at, like, 8, I'm, like, not okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I'm trying to think, but, like, I mean, it's easy to surprise, like, a 14-year-old. But, like, yeah, and I don't know what they have those 2 big dogs, so, like, there's something about big dogs where I'm like, "Oh, no, like, no one would ever get in." Like, how could they?
Right, and you would think someone of, like, if you were to say that someone of Kevin Spacey's size, he's not a big dude. So, like, those 2 dogs could easily handle him if they
Yeah,
wanted to.
they're like mastiffs or something.
Yeah,
Like, they're big. So
they're
I
big
think in my
boys.
brain, I was like, "Well, Tracy's fine."
Yeah. I think the only thing that made me kinda realize that it was that was having the clips of what's in the box go viral before I even actually
Yeah.
watched it, and that's when I put the 2 and 2 together, and I was like, I
Yeah.
mean, it didn't ruin it for me, because of course, like, that monologue of the John Doe monologue, like, on the way over to the site is what really saved it for me, because it's, like, one of the best monologues that I've seen in a movie in a very long time. But, yeah, like, if it wasn't for that monologue, I think it would've been ruined for me, like, completely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was can't remember if I don't think I knew her head was in the box. Like, I just, like it wasn't as, like, baked into, like, the zeitgeist to think, at least, like, this is, like, pre-Instagram, pre-TikTok, pre-Twitter, or I think Twitter might have been a thing, but, like, it's, like, before like, YouTube was still, like we just had, like, Jenna Marbles, like, it was just, like,
Yeah,
this is this is early.
yeah,
So it wasn't as, like, pressed. I just remember, like, kids at school talking about that, like, one murder, and then being like, "What is this?
yeah,
I'm gonna watch it."
yeah.
"Dad, take me to Blockbuster."
Yeah, let's go rent this bad boy.
Yeah. I think it's an incredible film. Morgan Freeman, obviously, is, like, excellent, and I think, like, he's much we see him so many in sort of this, like, almost, like, lighthearted, sort of hopeful character in a lot of films, and this film, he's really dark and really done, and just he really, like, I think captures, like, a first responder's, like, end of their career if they, like, haven't done what they need to do to take care of their own, like, mental health and, like, so many things you see with cops where they're, like, not married, they just have no kind of life, and, like, this applies for, like, nurses and doctors too, but, like, no life outside of their job, and then they're going to retire, and they're kinda like, "I wanna get out of this, but I have no concept of, like, what I am outside of this whole thing I've been dedicating my whole life to."
Yeah, which was very much the thing that we were talking about with The Pit season 2.
Yeah, totally.
Like, Robbie, the whole thing, like, he has the same problem. Um, yeah, seeing Somerset at the end of the movie just feel like, because he's so close, right? Like, that's like the entire movie is, like, split up into the 7 days of his final week of being on the job, and he gets, like, the biggest fucking, case of his career,
Mhm.
and then he gets to that Saturday or Sunday, and is just like, "Jesus, man. Like, I don't know what I can do now. I don't know if I can quit, because the whole precinct at that point is gonna be flipped upside down
Mhm.
now that Mills is gone because he was arrested for killing a John Doe. So it's like, well, I mean, now that we have one less detective and we don't necessarily have someone that can come in that they know of, because that process takes a while. What do I do? Like, do I stay? Do I, leave and leave them even more empty-handed? Like,
Mhm.
what do I do in that situation? Not to mention, he probably didn't want to leave it to begin with. He was probably putting on a facade, but I don't think he really wanted to leave. I think he was kind of just like, maybe I just have to, but I don't know.
And, like, just, like, a level of burnt out and, like, the phone, I'm tired. The movie ends on the Ernest Hemingway quote that says, "The world is a fine place and worth fighting for," and I agree with the second part. So just, like, this level of, like, yeah, it's fucked.
Yeah,
Everything is fucked,
yeah,
and it's
it's
just, like yeah,
absolutely fucked.
and it just sits with you, like, for me, like, Seven, like, is, like, one of those films where I'm, like, stuck in Seven land for a few days.
Yeah, that's how I was the first time I watched it. I was like, I just kept thinking about it, and I was just like, damn, that really was a good movie. And I was
Yeah, it's
like,
definitely one
fuck.
Like, if people are, like, looking for, like, I know they like crime dramas or thrillers, and, like, if they haven't seen it, like, you gotta watch Seven.
Yeah. I Marley and I were talking about how, like, it is a perfect, like, Halloween time movie because of just the dreariness of it all. Like, it
Mhm.
feels like that kind of, like, dark Halloween time movie. So it's
Yeah,
usually one that I'll throw on then.
yeah, other than the desert scene, it's, like, pouring rain the entire film.
Yeah. Like, the entire time. I think they did that with a bunch of water towers. Like, they had a
Mhm.
bunch of, like, rain towers that they just had on, like, all day. They just kept coming down all day, and so whenever they had to go and, like, redo takes and everything, they were like, "Oh, yeah, it was miserable because we'd go outside, we get rained on again, and then come back inside, and then have to go back outside, and then come back inside." So, like, that I think it was, like, the first scene that we actually see, it took them a while to finally get down, so, like, they were just fucking soaked in rain or in water that day. I was listening to the commentary track the last time I watched it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that day was just miserable. It was horrible."
And Fincher, like, the director, is known for doing, like, a in and actually same with, Kubrick that we did the film on yesterday, like, an insane amount of takes. And insane like, to put it in perspective, like, Steven Spielberg takes, like, 3 or 4 per setup, generally. Fincher, averages, like, 50 to 100 takes. He did so many and, Zodiac that, like, Jake Gyllenhaal talks about, like, absolutely starting to go psychologically insane. So to do that, to do, like, 50 plus takes in a setup where you're raining and having to dry off every time must have just been, like
Been hell. I hate being wet like that. I would have been for a long period of time to where I can't get in dry clothes. I would have been absolutely losing my mind.
Mhm. Yeah, I would have been absolutely done. Yeah, there would have been no way. Any final thoughts on 7 before we wrap up the episode?
No, yeah, I really like, 7. It's one of my favorites. Even though I'd only seen it, like, maybe 2 years ago, it easily shot up to one of my favorite movies just based on the grittiness of it, the writing. Like I was saying before, I know Kevin Spacey is not a good dude, but his acting in that movie is just absolutely stellar. There's no denying it, and yeah, I don't know, it was just it captivated me from start to end, so it was just to me, it's kinda like one of those pretty like, very good movie. It's an excellent movie. I don't wanna say it's a perfect movie, but it's an excellent movie.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, if anybody out there is like, if you're like, even remotely like a thriller fan, like, it would be hard pressed to not have this be like at least in your top 5. Like, it's so good, and it's so much more disturbing than you can really possibly think about. Um, and like, yeah, one of my favorite it might even be my favorite opening title sequence in like film at all
Yeah.
because they do this like it's like all set to Nine Inch Nails. Like, it's so good.
It
Like,
sets
I'm
the
like,
tone perfect.
that's what like really like I remember watching the first time. That's what really like locked me in. I was like, whoa, like what is happening?
It's like, what are we getting ourselves into? And you find out
Madness,
pretty quick.
madness.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Drake, for coming on.
Of
You
course.
have to come back.
Of course.
Anytime, any movie, you just throw it out there. Like, I'll book you. Like, this has been so much fun, and vice versa on your podcast. This has been
Yeah.
great.
You could always hit me up to do mine as well.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd love to.